Do you have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, and are you wanting to change your health? Have you tried all the different diets? Have you tried all the different types of medications? Have you tried working out but just felt discouraged because you weren't getting the results that you've seen? This video is definitely for you to make small, consistent changes to improve your habits. However, if you are someone who's looking for a quick tip to try to reverse it all in one go, this video is not for you. And unfortunately, with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes, there's no such thing as the magical pill or the magical diet or something that is going to address the blood sugars being ridiculously high and without managing it. So, to preface, my name is Patrick. I had prediabetes back in 2021, and I put my prediabetes into remission, and I've kept it in remission for about 2.5 years now and counting. And I've tried the different diets of trying to go carnivore. It just wasn't sustainable for me because I still enjoyed having a sweet treat once in a while. I didn't really like the vegetarian diet because I loved being able to eat chicken, pork, beef, and all the different meats that are associated with it. Like, it just didn't fit with what I was looking for. I was also extremely active as an individual. I worked out probably about 3 times a week. Yet my blood sugars are still pretty high, and my A1C said I was in the pre-diabetic range. So I thought, what can I do to help improve my health so that my blood sugars aren't out of control and I end up living the same fate as what my grandfather did when he had type 2 diabetes? And I saw the effects that he went through of being put on dialysis, going through the kidney failure, his body just literally shutting down on him to the point where he passed away from the complications of it. I wanted to avoid any future strokes or a future heart attack or all the other comorbidities or the different things that can happen if someone has prolonged type 2 diabetes, and get my blood sugars in check so that I can live a healthier life and be able to be active when I do become 90 years old or 100 years old, and still being able to go up and down stairs and playing with my future grandkids and having a good time traveling. So the steps that I've utilized to help improve my blood sugars, and doing it in a way where even when I had terrible days, I still knew the principles of what to follow to keep my blood sugars in check. And I still went out to going out to buffets with my friends from college and still having a good time in being able to balance what stuff I needed to do, having fun once in a while, but also keeping my blood sugars more in check throughout that time. So, for the New Year's thing, there's going to be 3 main things I'm going to be focusing on, what I did and what I found is helpful for myself and helping thousands of clients that I've worked with for my diabetes coaching programs. The major things, actually, I'll give you a bonus tip. I'll give you 4 tips actually. So let's start with the first one. The first thing is understanding how type 2 diabetes and prediabetes work. So insulin resistance, that is the root cause for type 2 diabetes and prediabetes, because whenever we eat food, then it's going to go from our stomach to then go to our blood, and it's supposed to go from our blood into our muscles, our brain, our organs, so it can be used off as fuel. However, with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes, the insulin resistance prevents the blood sugars from moving from the blood into the last destination in those targets. So because of that concept, some people think, oh, the blood sugars are the problem, so eliminate all carbs. Well, the issue about that is for proteins and even fats, they eventually convert into sugars. It just takes hours later compared to how sugars in general are converted into our blood and then moving into our muscles and organs. So sure, someone may be having a great success with the carnivore diet. However, what does their blood work look like if they actually did a real stress test like the oral glucose tolerance test to see how their body reacts in real time in actually managing those blood sugars? And majority of the time, that's going to show that they still have insulin resistance and still have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, despite having their A1C being in the ranges where it may not show that. So because of those aspects, being able to identify that if the missing link is from the blood sugars being moved into the rest of the body, how can we help improve insulin's ability to do that? One of the main things and vital things to focus on is our muscle mass. So by doing these workouts and these exercises, we got to incorporate more strength training. I incorporated more strength training and the timing of my strength training so that I'm able to get my blood sugars moving into my muscles more effectively and having more of my muscle mass in order to absorb it effectively. Now, the struggle that some people have and some misconceptions is, oh, if I lift some weights, then I'm going to become extremely bulky. I've been working out for a long period of time, and I'm still not even at that point where I feel like I'm bulky or even look bulky compared to the other people that are on the internet. So because of that, that is an absolute myth that lifting weights will make you bulky. Instead, it'll make someone more leaner, and it'll also be more helpful and beneficial for managing their weight, because muscles, it takes a lot of energy to maintain it. So by improving the muscle mass and doing more strength training, that's actually going to be more beneficial for blood sugars, managing weight, and addressing fat loss, because muscles take a lot of energy to even maintain, and keeping it active helps with managing those energy levels so that one can feel more energized, one can feel more youthful, their blood sugars looks a lot better, and then they are able to look a lot better when they look in the mirror, which is a good thing. And with that, people can also incorporate mixtures of aerobic activity. So walking, it's very underrated. So the thing that most people think is, oh, my blood sugars are high, I can't do anything about it if my medications aren't working about it. Well, there's a lot of different factors that impacts it. So because of the physical activity component, if someone knows that their blood sugars are going to go up after eating some food, then a good thing to do is to go on a walk after the meal so that the body can start activating its muscles to help with those blood sugars to be more within its more ideal ranges, instead of staying up and staying high, because the body has a hard time moving it into our organs, our muscles, and the rest of our body. And additionally with that, some people may find that they're more insulin resistant in the morning because they have more stress hormones to help wake them up in the morning, but then it gets a little bit harder to move those blood sugars back in the body. So working out in the morning, so doing some strength training in the morning or doing some walking in the morning just to get the body ready for the day, that can actually help with making the body more beneficial for absorbing those blood sugars. Now, for a step-by-step basis, if it's someone's first time ever working out or walking or doing all these different things, and they're like, crap, my knees hurt too much to even go on a walk, or oh my gosh, I don't even have the time to walk, it's too cold outside, it's just not really feasible. Other things to utilize is manage some form of physical activity with whatever you have. A little bit still goes a long way. If I was in a huge slump where I struggled with even having the motivation to do something throughout the day, I just told myself, hey, let's just try one sit to stand. So I could literally be on a chair. So here's my blanket to keep me warm. My arms are on the armrest right here if my legs aren't strong enough, and then I just literally push myself up from the chair, nice and slow on the way down, push myself up from the chair, nice and slow on the way down. That actually helps with activating my leg muscles without having to walk like a crazy amount of time, or even having to go outside, and just being able to start utilizing blood sugars more effectively. If someone has more strength and they're able to do it without their hands, awesome. That also helps with improving the strength of their legs, preventing the risk for a fall in the future if someone has issues with their balance or any weakness in their legs. So that just helps with so many different factors, which is great. So if someone is wanting to start with improving their health, maybe try for the first week, whenever you have a meal, just go on a walk for 1 minute, like pace around the house for 1 minute. Or if that means doing a full sit to stands, like just doing 10 of them after you're done eating the food. Or if 10 is too much, start with just one after a meal. So like up and down after you're done eating the meal, see how that goes. And then the next week, build it up to 2. Or for walking around, build that up to 2 minutes now. And eventually get to the point where you're able to reach a number of maybe 10 sit to stands after a meal, or walking for 5 minutes after a meal for the first 2 months, and eventually keep building that up, because the research has shown, and what I found has helpful for myself, is going on a walk for 15 to 20 minutes after a meal significantly helps my blood sugars a lot better, significantly helps with managing my health, and also making me feel more energized rather than being extremely groggy after I have the meal, which is a great time, and I love it. And even though I might not be consistent with it 100% of the time, still by being able to walk for 3 or 4 minutes does a lot better compared to not even doing anything at all. By being able to do those little steps up to the point where one's able to reach that 15-minute walk afterwards, or if time constraints are there, then just doing 10 sit-to-stands or 15 or 20 sit-to-stands afterwards, that can help significantly. And of course, taking rest breaks as needed is going to be super helpful. So that was the first concept. The second concept that's very important, and probably the easiest one to start helping for this New Year's, it's maximizing and optimizing sleep. So one of the things that impacts people whenever they're trying to go to bed, it can be that late night snacking. So if someone's able to move their snacking a little bit earlier and then go to bed at a more reasonable time, that's actually going to help influence their sleep so that they can reduce the amount of stress that's going to happen. They allow their body to recover more naturally and improve their health in the long run. So other things that I've utilized to help manage my sleep is like listening to a sleep meditation video before going to bed. That just helps relax my mind and be able to unwind from the day so that I can be more productive when I'm sleeping. Now, for the days where I have a struggle and a hard time sleeping, then other things that I can do is figure out where are the eye masks that I can use. Oh, that's funny, the hearts. Eye masks. So wearing like the eye masks so I can block out any existing light that comes through to allow my body to start sleeping more appropriately. That's great. Soundproof headphones, if someone is able to invest into soundproof headphones. Blackout curtains. Those are some small investments that can make a huge impact in one's health. And even adjusting the temperature in one's room so that their body is more prepared to sleep and have a more productive and effective sleep, falling asleep faster, and having a good time from there. So just focusing on small different aspects for sleep, that's going to help significantly in making one's health a lot better. Additionally, making sure to have a meal about 2.5 hours or 3 hours, same thing with the last fluid intake, 2.5 hours to 3 hours before, depending on one's medical situation. That also helps significantly so that someone's not having to wake up 50 million times at night trying to use the bathroom and then come back and going through there. So just little bits can be extremely helpful in that way. Or if someone is afraid of having a low blood sugar episode, then having something that's high in some protein, a complex carb, that's actually going to help with allowing the blood sugars to be more stable, which we're going to head into this next one of how nutrition works for this third tip. So for this third tip, there's a lot of misconceptions of, oh, like someone needs to eat cinnamon. Oh, carbs are bad. Keto is great. Keto is bad. Fats are awesome. Fats are not awesome. There's a lot of information that's out there. So let's just take a step back and understand how each of these nutrients work and what they're generally used for. The main three proteins, the big macros, it is carbohydrates because they are the main fuel source for our brain and our muscles and a good amount of our organs. And then there are fats. So fats is used for a lot of hormone production and also producing other things within our body so that it can help with managing those levels. And then the third one, it is protein. So protein is huge for repairing our skin. It's huge for repairing our muscles and also boosting our metabolism a lot more effectively by slowing down the digestion process of anything that digests like pretty quickly. And we could go into further sub-details of these different nutrients, but I'm just going to focus on the main ones because with carbohydrates, there's different forms of it and not all carbs are equal. It's the same thing for the other ones, but let's just focus on carbs right now and I'll get to it in another video. Speaking of which, if you're interested in another video for how different proteins work or how different fats work or how other stuff works, put that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So with these three big nutrients, carbohydrates, there's different forms of them. So we have a complex carbohydrate. That means it digests a lot slower. So things that can digest a lot slower for these carbohydrates, it could be whole grain foods, or it could be oats, it could be legumes, beans, things that take a bit longer to digest and actually allow the blood sugars to be more stable. Another thing that is very helpful and beneficial that is classified as a carb that is helpful for managing blood sugars and long-term health and preventing a stroke or heart attack and all those other issues in the future, it is fiber. So fiber is highly essential because it acts as the cleaning crew for our body. Now I know fiber gets a bad rap for a lot of people because they're like, oh, it makes me super gassy or I feel extremely bloated. And that was actually the situation for me when I first started eating a lot of fiber. So I ate a lot of fiber, I felt super bloated, I wasn't sure what was going on, my farts stank like crazy, which was horrendous. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm doing this a little too quickly and aggressively. So I decided to lower down the amount of fiber that I was eating each day for a couple weeks until my body was adjusted to that. And I drank a lot more water with it because very similar to a cleaning crew, if they need to wipe down tables or clean up some gunk on the walls or other areas, they're going to need some water with the soap to help clean it up. So fiber acts like the soap, then we got to add some water so that they can mix together and help clean up our bodies. So with that, I drank more water while I ate the fiber or consuming fiber, and I found that significantly helped in reducing the frequency of farts that I had, how smelly the farts were at times, which is great, and also helps with my body's digestion with the fiber so that it can actually help my blood sugars more effectively, which was great. So people maybe wonder, well, how much fiber am I supposed to get? There's a research article that looked at the different forms of like fiber. Having a good diverse amount is going to be super helpful. And personally for me, I try to aim to get about 50 to 55 grams of fiber a day. Before I first started off, if I don't know how much fiber that I'm going to have, the first week's going to be tracking the general day-to-day diet. I generally use Chronometer. I'm not sponsored by them. I've also used MyFitnessPal. Those are great apps to start tracking what the fibers are. Or if you're really old school, then taking the nutrition label and then multiplying it out by how much you have and really being scrutinous of measuring it out and then writing it down to track it. That's going to be a more accurate way of detecting how much fiber one is getting. It's also going to be great at detecting how many calories someone is getting so that it can help with weight management and blood sugar control generally. So with that, by tracking how much fiber is going in, that helps significantly in allowing someone to detect how their body is able to respond to fiber. Now, of course, this is not the golden truth for everyone because someone may have irritable bowel syndrome, they may have other things. So, of course, consult with your doctor, consult with a dietitian, specifically a diabetes educator, a training to dietitian, because they're more specialized in diabetes care, to figure out what is the better game plan for eating the foods that are rich in fiber and more helpful for blood sugars and keeping things balanced. And plus, the benefit of having fiber too is it's highly satiating, meaning it keeps people fuller for longer. So they don't have to over snack or overindulge and they're not as hungry, which is a great thing because if we're not as hungry, then we reduce the amount of calories that we eat. It helps improve our weight. It also helps with blood sugar control and management for all those different things. So that's going to be super helpful in tracking how much fiber one is getting. And then week 1 to week 2 would be first starting to track how much fiber one is getting. And then for week 3, that would be including little bits of fiber. So researching what are rich in fibers. For me, my great fiber sources, I generally look for like split peas. I look for beans or legumes. If someone's gut doesn't really support that, then having raspberries or blackberries, those are also good alternatives to help get that fiber count. It's super rich in it and it helps with that. I generally try to get fiber sources that are high in fiber, low in fat, and low in carbs or low in protein, because the more I could get more fiber-rich foods, then that's going to be helpful in that way. Or if it's just super hard to find a product that has that, finding psyllium husk, it can be found with the Metamucil brands, it can be found with the Equate brand, it's found in a lot of them. Trying to find the psyllium husk that is a high-quality fiber source that can help with managing one's health throughout that time. So fiber, huge thing. And then additionally to trying to get more protein, depending on one's kidney function levels, like if they have healthy kidney functioning, then trying to get 1 gram of what I generally do to help improve my goals. Of course, I'm not meeting it consistently right now, but it's something I always keep aiming to do. It's trying to get 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight. Because the more I'm able to do that, that's able to help sustain the current muscles that I have and also trying to stimulate the muscle growth so that I have more improvements for my health and improves more my insulin sensitivity because I am maintaining my muscle health and trying to increase my muscle mass. So then it's more beneficial in managing my health, managing my blood sugars because my muscles are more activated and having a good time there. And also slowing down the digestion process of carbs. And because this is an awesome tip, in fact, whenever I go to a buffet or go out to eat at some restaurants that I'm not super familiar with the foods options that they have, I would try to figure out, okay, what's a protein rich food that's here? What is a fiber rich food that's here? And how can I pair it with everything else? And by doing so, I'm actually able to help stabilize my blood sugars a lot more easily. And by the time dessert comes around, if I decide to have a dessert, that just makes my blood sugars more set up for success because it also slows down the digestion process whenever I have a simple carb. So a fast digesting carb to make things a lot better in that way, which is great. I love it there. If that tip is something that you think could be helpful, then please give it a try. Let me know what you think. And if it doesn't work for you, then go back to the drawing board and just go from there. And then the fourth and final thing, aside from a timing of workout and the types of workouts that are out there, aside from sleep and aside from nutrition, it is definitely going to be what are the stressors that are going on in one's life and how can one take a step back, breathe, adjust, and go from there. So there's different outlets that are out there. So for some people, it's utilizing therapy. I've used a therapist before. I've found it super helpful in processing what's going on and trying to find the right therapist of figuring out, okay, which therapist is going to help direct me towards my goal rather than me venting at the therapist and I'm not getting a beneficial action from it to improve my life and make the changes to it. If that type of therapist works better for some other people to help reduce their stress and they are in a better mindset to do stuff, then great, go with that type of therapist. But that's one of the options that are out there. Other things that are out there too, meditation videos, if that works out, that's awesome. Other research studies have shown that being able to do aerobic physical activity, like going on walks with someone that they love, or going on a walk while calling someone and chatting with them, that also helps too. Or if someone wants to watch a football game and they're able to walk on a treadmill while watching the football game, then find whatever outlets that's currently out there that makes you happy and makes it enjoyable so that it's more beneficial for oneself to do that. So whatever stress levels are high, that means more cortisol and adrenaline is released to try to tell the liver to release more sugars into the bloodstream to try to supply the muscles. Of course, having short bursts of it is okay, but having it for a prolonged period of times, like having it over and over again, that's when it starts to get more wear and tear on the body. So trying to reduce that amount of it and being more mindful of it, that's going to help significantly. Additionally, if social media is an issue, then trying to set a timer on the phone of how long one would engage on social media, that's also another factor there. So hopefully those tips are helpful in some different ideas one can utilize for improving their New Year's habits to manage their diabetes. It's more of a lifestyle thing rather than there's this one magic trick to help address it all. Because generally, if someone is saying that there's this magical cure and it works for everyone, then generally they don't know the nuances of different cultures, people's genetics, and all those different factors. What works for one person may not work for another person, but overall, there's a general consistency of improving one's health, improving by getting more fiber, getting more water, getting more protein, moving a little bit more, and doing that consistently over and over, getting better sleep, and also getting help to reduce stress. That in the long run seems to help people a lot more effectively. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please share this video with someone that you think it'd be helpful for, and comment your thoughts down below of what you think about this video and what I should cover for next videos. Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in.